The following collection of photographs was captured inside Greenwood Cemetery. This is located in Decatur, Illinois. These photographs were taken between the years 1998 and 2002. This is from a group of investigations. These overnight investigations in Greenwood Cemetery were all hosted by Troy Taylor. All of the following photographs were taken by myself using the same camera. It was a Nikon 35mm film camera with Fuji 800 speed film and a 1.4D lens. There was, however, one photograph taken separately with a digital camera by one of the guests who attended one of these events, and that will be noted separately. What was highly unusual is that several things that are prominent in haunted locations were absent during all my investigations over the years at this cemetery. I never encountered any EMF fields or cold spots in the cemetery. These are very common at other haunted locations, but they're absent at this location. There was one event I wish I'd had a camcorder with me so that I could have documented it. Very late at night, as the last group of us were leaving the cemetery, most of the people had already left for the night. We were walking along a gravel path. From right behind us, we heard someone kicking up the gravel rocks from the path that we were walking. When we turned around, we noticed that there was no one there, but we all acknowledged that we heard the rocks being kicked up. The following photograph was taken just as the sun was getting ready to set. You'll notice the lower portion of the tree line is in darkness, and the upper portion is still illuminated by the remaining sunlight before it went down. The photograph doesn't quite represent what you're actually seeing, in that you're at a high elevation in the cemetery looking down into the valley below, and that tree line is actually a lot further than what it appears in the photograph. At the base of the tree line, you will notice a strange white light that I can't account for. I didn't see it at the time I took this photograph, and there are no man-made light sources that can account for it. It's also not a reflective object because the sun is already partially set, and the lower portion of the tree line is already in darkness, so there's no sunlight reflecting off of any object. And the following photos that I took at this spot revealed nothing, so whatever it was that was providing this light was gone by the time I'd taken another photograph. This photograph was taken in the Civil War portion of the cemetery. There were two anomalies in the photograph. On the first, the lower right-hand portion, you'll see what looks like a white light, and it appears to be in motion as it's partially blurred. There's also a second anomaly I can't explain. There is a large red streak of light. It seems to be behind the large Civil War marker, but in front of the tree trunk, which is behind that marker, and it extends upward into the photograph and beyond the field of view of the photograph. These red streaks of light I have documented with other cameras in later years. When I switched to digital cameras, there was one noteworthy one in a Valley Park investigation where a very large red streak of light was present. While Troy Taylor was giving a presentation explaining the historic significance of the Native American portion of Greenwood Cemetery that we were in, I was standing at some good distance apart from the group of guests. While standing away from these guests, I took a series of photos. In these three photos, they're taken several seconds apart, you'll see a light in motion, and I did not see them at the time I had taken them. The following photograph is the only one among all these photos that I did not take myself. This one was captured by a man named Luke, who was taking photos with a digital camera. You'll notice in the distance there's a dimmer white light, and that's simply the camera's own flash being reflected off of a headstone. The more significant light, the one that's in the foreground, is the one that's of interest. It's much more intense, and I can't explain this particular light. I'd also like to thank Luke again for sending me his photograph so that I could share it with everyone. In the extreme southwest portion of the cemetery, a spooklight is notorious for making appearances. These spooklights are different than orbs in that Spook lights you can actually see with the human eye, whereas the orbs are only seen in the photographs taken after the fact. While standing in this portion of the cemetery during one investigation, I was actually able to see this spook light myself. I was able to secure a single photograph of it before it disappeared. After the light had vanished, I took another photograph. You'll notice that the light is completely absent in this one. There is no man-made source of light up on that hillside, and there were no people up there. I've only occasionally encountered these spook lights. Usually they disappear before I get a chance to aim my camera and take a picture of them. Most of my encounters with spook lights have been very brief, and it's been a struggle to capture them on either video or film because you don't have time to aim your camera at them. I have heard from other people who've encountered spook lights that lasted for several minutes duration, but I've never encountered one like that.